Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Boy, it's a busy day with what's going on in Iran, and we're trying to keep you up to date with everything that's going on there. For those just joining, we had an excellent conversation with Kevin Kramer, who's on the Senate Armed Services Committee, giving us the update. I was talking to my assistant, Zach, who is a manager of this show here in Washington. Zach, you were saying, I was asking you, what is the latest on whether they think that they've gotten Khomeini, and what are you hearing on the line? What's the latest?
Yeah, news is all over the place. Nothing is confirmed. Apparently, members of his family may have been killed. And he was obviously, for those who don't know, was supposed to go live on the news about 5 hours ago, and he never did.
So that means he's either in hiding or he has been killed by the raids. Let's hope it's the latter. So we'll try to keep you up to date, folks, with this story that is breaking every half an hour or so. But in the meantime, I wanted to bring on another good friend who is somebody that is an expert on education policy. I'm calling about David Barker. He is at the Department of Education right now. He is an undersecretary there where he works on higher ed. And as most of you know, if you're regular listeners of this show, I am very angry about our universities and how much money they're spending, how they're spending it, how they're teaching our kids. Why is it that we're graduating so many radicals out of our universities? And David Barker, like me, is a conservative. He is from Iowa. He is an education expert. I think, David, you went to the University of Chicago.
Yes, sir, I did. I got a PhD in economics there.
And did you ever run across, so many Nobel Prize economists, including Milton Friedman and so many other great economists there. Did you get to take any courses from those esteemed men and women at University of Chicago?
Yes, I did. I took micro from Gary Becker, and I took macro.
Oh, he's one of my favorite economists of all time. I love Gary Becker. By the way, I don't know if Gary Becker is still alive. If he is, he'd probably be in his 90s.
No, he's not, unfortunately.
Yeah, but how was he as a teacher?
He's not living anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, he was absolutely a wonderful man and a great economist.
So you are now, tell us about your job, what you're doing, what your mission is for Donald Trump. You work with Linda McMahon, who's our education secretary, who I just adore that woman. I think she's been an outstanding education department secretary. And so tell her what you guys are up to. As I just said, I'm not a big fan of the direction of our universities, and you're sort of in charge of that area of the federal education system. So what are you guys doing?
Well, thanks. Yes, I'm the assistant secretary for post-secondary education, and absolutely under the leadership of Secretary McMahon, who is just fantastic. I agree.
Yep.
But as you say, higher education is in crisis right now.
Yes.
Only 35% of people polled believe that college is valuable these days. Nearly half of college graduates end up in jobs that don't need the degree that they received. Huge majorities say that they think higher education is moving in the wrong direction, and tuition has exploded.
By the way, I'm in that group. I'm in that group solidly that thinks that higher ed is moving in exactly the wrong direction. I hope it's being reformed. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes. Oh, no, not at all. I agree. But, tuition from 1990 to 2020, this is after inflation and after grants and scholarships up 93%, and graduate tuition up 340%. I mean, just unbelievable.
Wait, I'm
numbers.
sorry. Hold on, David. Hold on. I want to make sure I understand what you just said. What's up 90%?
Yeah. So undergraduate tuition up 93% from 1990 to 2020. And that's, again, after inflation.
After inflation. So almost doubled.
Yes. And graduate tuition up 340%.
God.
I mean, and that's fueled by unlimited lending. So when the federal government says that we will lend you whatever college costs, then universities just raise tuition. And
David, I've been saying this. I've been saying this for 20 years, that it's like a dog chasing its tail. We keep providing more and more, grants and more of these loans. And it's supposed to make college more affordable to families. And as you just said, I mean, you have the data to support this, but I've looked at it observationally, and it just seems every time we make the student loans more valuable to, increase the amount of the student loan to make the college more affordable, the universities just raise their tuition. And as I said, it's like a dog chasing its tail. It's making college less affordable, not more affordable.
Exactly right. And finally, under the leadership of President Trump, the Working Families Tax Cut Act was passed, otherwise known as the One Big Beautiful Bill.
I love that.
Which put some loan caps in place. And so we're already seeing graduate tuition come down in response to that they know.
So hold on, David. Just hold on. Again, I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but you're giving us so much rich information. I want to make sure. So I didn't realize this. You're saying in the bill, the Big Beautiful Bill, there were loan caps on student loans?
Yes, for graduate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Graduate student loans. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's $100,000 total for most graduate programs, and $200,000 for certain high cost fields.
Wow.
And like medical school and law school. And we're already seeing some graduate schools lowering their tuition in response to these loan caps.
Wow. That's great news. That is great news.
It really is.
What are you guys doing about wokeism? One of the big problems with these universities is, and by the way, to be clear, I'm not against a liberal arts education. I got a liberal arts education myself. You went to University of Chicago. I went to University of Illinois. But, at some point, when kids are not learning any useful skills at these universities, and you said they're not trained for any of the jobs of the future, that's a big problem.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
It really is. And we're taking a number of steps to try and improve that. The president had an executive order on DEI in higher education, and we have, scoured the grants that come out of the Department of Education to make sure that they are not, promoting this kind of ideology. the president and Secretary McMahon have taken action against several universities that were pushing DEI, and we've seen quite a response, and many universities across the country scaling back or eliminating their DEI programs. And another way that we're going after that is through the accreditors. Now, this is getting a little into the policy realm, but universities get federal funds only if they are certified by accreditors, and those accreditors are
that's kind of a scam. That whole process is kind of a scam, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, absolutely. And the president, one of his early executive orders was to the Department of Education to reform the accreditation system. And we've seen over the last year many accreditors eliminate their DEI requirements. So when I was on the Board of Regents at the University of Iowa and I was working to eliminate DEI programs, the response I got was, well, we can't eliminate them because our accreditor won't allow us to. Well, we're going after the accreditors now, and they are eliminating those DEI requirements. In fact, the American Bar Association, which was one of the worst offenders, first suspended their DEI requirement, and just this week announced that they're taking steps to eliminate it entirely.
So one of the things that has been my fetishes over the last 10, 15 years is that, and I'm going to give you, David, what may sound like a radical idea, but are you familiar with the College of the Ozarks?
Yes. I have met them. What a wonderful place, a work-based.
It is a wonderful place.
Work-based student living.
Yeah. So for people who are not familiar with this story, I've told this story previously on this show. The College of the Ozarks, the tuition at the College of the Ozarks is zero. And zero. Wait a minute. How can a college charge no tuition? Every student on that campus works 20 hours a week, and they pay for their own tuition. Gee, what an idea that a 19, 20, 21-year-old should actually work while they're in school. And so, by the way, I've visited that campus. I've given lectures there 2 or 3 times. I've never met a more motivated group of students because they're actually paying for their own tuition. So what I'm saying is, why can't other schools use that? Why can't kids work while they're in school? And I think they'd value their education more. I think they wouldn't have to be so dependent on all these loans. And I think they would graduate with degrees that are worth something.
Yes, it's a wonderful model. And I met the president of the College of the Ozarks recently, and he explained that program. And it's great. And of course, it goes back to, my parents who, when they went to college, worked their way through college. I worked when I was in college.
I did too.
But even by the time I was in college, it was, tuition had increased quite a bit, and it was, not as well, I wouldn't say it was easy for my parents. They worked hard. And, but paying your tuition by working was a reasonable plan. But tuition has increased so much in many cases that's more difficult to do. But the College of the Ozarks.
Yeah, but you know why? But David, this is
a way.
Yeah. But the reason that the universities can get, it's a scam. The whole thing is a scam. They keep raising their tuition. The reason they can get away with that is because they've got the government or all of these loan programs and all of these scholarship programs and so on. And my point is, if you just use the law of supply and demand, and if the people who are actually getting the service are paying for it, they're going to require high quality. They're not going to let them get away with charging those kinds of tuitions.
Absolutely. When everything is funded by loans and grants, as you said, the universities have no reason to limit their tuition, and they plow this money into incredibly high-cost programs and amenities that the students wouldn't want if they knew that they were paying for it.
That's exactly right.
You don't need the lazy river. You don't need the lazy river in the student rec center.
Well, by the way, here's another one, David. I mean, we could go on for an hour, and I'd love to get you on the show again in the weeks to come, because this is one of my favorite issues to talk about, the scam of higher universities. But grew up in the shadows of Northwestern University. My parents went to Northwestern. My brother went to Northwestern. And so I have all sorts of ties to that school. They're spending $800 million, David, $800 million on a football stadium. Now, look, I love Northwestern football. I think it's great, but $800 million and they get a tax deduction for that? I mean, come on. And by the way, as we all know, college athlete, I love college sports too, but these are not amateurs. These are pros. I mean, they're getting paid for it. The whole thing. How can you say that $800 million is an educational activity for a football stadium?
Oh, it makes no sense. And, but there's this culture at universities of collecting as much as possible from the government and spending as much as possible and raising salaries. And, when I was on the Board of Regents at Iowa, I voted against some high-profile spending programs, and the response of the regents was to take me off of the committees that dealt with those issues.
You're not part of the club.
Right. Exactly. So no, we at the Department of Education, we want to put a stop to that by by limiting these flows of federal money to universities.
And would you say that you guys are? Have you been so successful? You've only been in 1 year, but do you feel like you're turning the dial in the right direction so that these universities are more responsive to taxpayers and the students?
Oh, I do. We have set records as far as the amount of change that we have brought about in the regulations that govern higher education. We've enacted these loan limits. We've enacted a short-term Pell program that'll give students an alternative to a 4-year degree and still be able to get Pell money for that. We've also put in place accountability provisions that the federal government will not fund programs that do harm to students. In other words, that leave them earning less than an average high school graduate earns. We're not going to pay for those programs.
That's amazing. Yep. One thing I'd like you to do. We only have about 2 minutes left, David, and it's David Barker, who is running post-secondary education at the Department of Education, is look at, seriously, this is just anecdotally, but the kids when I went to college who were working while they were in school did better when they graduated than the kids that didn't, because they valued the education. They were learning skills at the same time they were learning what's in the textbooks. So let's sort of try to push in that direction where kids, these are 19, 20, 21-year-olds. A lot of them have never worked a day in their life.
Yes, absolutely right. And I'm so glad that you brought up College of the Ozarks, because I have, like I said, met with them, talked to them, and I'm studying that model to see, to see how it works and how we can apply it more broadly.
Well, I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm so glad. Let's have you on again sometime in the next few weeks. Keep updating on this, because you're doing the Lord's work, and it's the amount of money that is flowing into these universities. And you look at these kids who are graduating, and incidentally, it's the young people who are voting for people like Mandami in New York.
Yes, that's right. That's right. There is a lot of
we're teaching them to be socialists. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's right. Well, David, you are a national asset. Keep doing what you're doing. Tell Linda McMahon that I love her. She is one of the best people in the cabinet. And it's a hell of a cabinet that Donald Trump has put together there. And thank you for what you're doing. And folks, this is the More Money Show, and we will be right back.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.